Welcome to On Air with Kash. Our guest today began training to be a professional ice skater at the age of 6. At 15, she moved to Paris to model for brands including Dior, Armani, Loreal, and Vogue, among many others. Her first TV appearance was on the hit HBO series True Blood. She was then cast in The New Girl and then Castle. She then appeared in the feature films Fading Gigolo, Rock the Kasbah, Dirty Grandpa, Bad Moms, and The Gentleman. Please welcome Eugenia Kuzmina.
Hi, Kash.
Hello, Eugenia. How are you?
I'm so great and really grateful to be on your show and share it. It's really exciting to be here with you.
I'm honored to have you on. I know it's been quite a year with the pandemic and everything, but every time I turn on the TV, I see you in a movie. I just watched The Gentleman. We've been watching Bad Moms. I mean, I just feel like you're always following us no matter what.
Well, I think it's important to stay positive no matter where you are in present. So I'm trying my best as everybody else, but sometimes winning and failing and just going through the vulnerability of life.
That's how we do it. So Eugenia, you act, you model, you're a mom, you do stunts, you do action, you do comedy. It just seems like there's nothing you can't do, and you do everything so excellent. How do you make time for everything?
Well, my motto in life is if something really scares me, that's where I need to go. So I'm really open to always growing and learning and trying new skills. And that's how I finish in all this like enchanted waters, like stand up or stunts or motorcycle training, just because I know that there's something that I need to maybe overcome. And that's my way to deal with life. I just jump into that. And I feel like this is the point where you grow the most as the person. I grow. I would take responsibility for that. So that's how I kind of try new things. And also, I think it's so important not to have labels. People a lot of times ask me, well, what do you prefer to do most? And I always say, I prefer to work with amazing artists to make sure that it's collaborative, no matter what the project is. Creativity is so universal. So wherever you can find it through painting, acting, art, or anything else, I think it's important to think about quality, but also not limit yourself.
Absolutely. And right at the start of the pandemic, I actually did two things that you do. I started wirefighters training. So I started stunt training. And then I also took a stand-up class right around the same time.
I love that. A lot of times people ask me, where can I do stand-up? But really a few of them follow through and go on stage because it's a very special experience.
Honestly, the stunt training was a lot easier than the stand-up. The good thing about stand-up for me was just really being expressive, writing. At the beginning of this year, did you think that by the time summer rolled around, wearing a mask to the beach is going to be the new normal? The other day, I'm talking to a friend of mine. She's an optometrist. She said occasionally she'll be with a client and their mask will slip, revealing their nose, and she feels like she just got flashed. Really the kind of world you want to live in? Saying, we have these ideas in our heads and then to really construct. We have a mutual friend, Jimmy Shin, who we collaborated on a pilot a while back. And then I know that you're a regular performer at the Comedy Store and the Shindig show that he hosts. And that I remember going to a lot of your shows, and when I see the two of you and how you get up and you're just fearless and you just go for it and you just get the crowd going, I have such admiration and respect for what you do.
Well, back at you first. The stage very soon. Things are opening up in California, so we're starting to do live shows, and I would love to invite you to be like part of our group of comedians. I think in pandemic we became really tight. Not a lot of people could do shows, so we tried to express our creativity in a different way, maybe on Zoom shows, and it was incredible. We found all these platforms, and Jimmy had a really interesting platform with a talk show and other things. So I feel like we're really bonded. And now when the places are opening up, I know Jimmy just did a show with Bill Burr and like a lot of really great comedians. So yeah, it would be really exciting to have you on, with us.
Absolutely. Because you know what, I gotta be honest. So we started this class, and about halfway through it, the pandemic did start. So we started doing everything virtually. And honestly, I was really terrified about getting up on stage. And my first show ended up being a Zoom show. And I feel like I kind of lucked out, but I don't feel like I fully made it yet, because it's like it's one thing to do it on screen, and you could tell when certain jokes they translated well, or it's like I'm like, okay, I know where I needed the work to be done, but I don't think anything beats just the fearlessness that you and Jimmy have, where you get up on the stage and you just. So I think you and Jimmy are going to have to be the people that bring that out of me.
Well, honestly, I would say congratulations to you to doing it on Zoom, because even established comedians, they would skip the shows. The most what's happening about the live shows is you have instant response from the audience. You have that connection, you have that conversation, and it's a certain energy. And on Zoom, you're basically doing it for no one. So, doing stand-up comedy to space, literally, I think is the hardest skill you can ever have, because you have no gratification and you don't know what is funny or not. You don't have that reaction. So I think the live shows will be a surprise to you, because they're so much easier. People, especially now after pandemic, when everybody's coming back, I feel like laughter is the best medicine, and I feel there's a huge demand for that.
Absolutely. And the pandemic didn't slow you down, because I was tuning in. I saw you and Jimmy were doing live shows. Jimmy Shin hosted the Shindig show in a pandemic safe environment. We really need the arts in times like this. I'm glad things are reopening. Again, I commend you both for getting out there, getting people together.
For sure. What kind of martial arts are you training?
Studied Tang Soo Do growing up. I trained with Howard Jackson, Pat Johnson, and Bob Wall. I was taking jiu-jitsu at WME right before the pandemic began, and then I trained at Wire Fighters. I can't wait to get started again.
Yeah, it's so interesting, isn't it? It's like all about having a mental game, actually, more than anything else, I think, with stunts. I just finished a course. I usually train with Tanner and Tactical, who, do John Wick. They'll do all the training for Matrix. They're so busy right now because everybody's coming back. So I went to another tactical training just for once. I'm not cheating on anybody, but it's true. It's such a mental game. It's all about like being precise and your breathing and calm. I think it correlates with acting and anything else that you do. How you do one thing is how you do everything. My friend reminded me of this quote another day. So,
because I know you're a big action person. I did hear Arnold was one of your early influences.
Yeah, it's so interesting how life works, because I actually sneaked into the Terminator movie when it was showing in post-Soviet time in Russia. It was one of the first American big Hollywood films to come to us, and we'd never seen an entertainment like that. And I think I was around like 7 or 8. I wasn't allowed to come to the theater, but I was so blown away that I just had to, I sneaked 2 times, and I was very proud for my spy skills. And it's interesting. I was reading a book maybe a few years later when I was in LA about his biography, and just, I inspired by other artists and people and their journeys. So I'm really inspired by the way, his mental, health and how just he does everything, right? And then one day we became friends, and he invited me to his Christmas party. I mean, it's interesting when you manifest something, and if you put in right intention for the right reason, it is always will happen for you, I feel. And it's just so incredible, because he's as amazing in person as, there is an image out there. I think the most impressive part is for somebody to come from another part of the world, and just having no connections, no, grow up friends or any kind of network, and to make it to such a big level. I think it's always an inspiration.
To me, you seem like someone who you don't waste any time, and everything that you take on, you do it with excellence. You're like 100%. And whenever I see you post something or perform a show or do a stunt, you put everything into that.
Thank you. Well, the only thing I can say is I try always my best. I give 200%, but a lot of times I fail, you guys. And I believe in imperfection, like right now, if you can hear the show, obviously I'm doing it outside because I'm on family vacation. So if you hear any distracting sounds, just know it's not completely perfect, but I believe, the beauty of being human is just learning and growing. So I definitely don't, coming from modeling, there's always such an objectification and this thing where oh, she's perfect and her life is perfect, but it's not, and honestly, I believe too, that's why I think I do so many things, because I want to grow. And I know that failure is actually the best lesson. The more you fail, the faster you recover, the further you will go. So that's kind of one of the motivations, just grow through mistakes and try to do your best.
I had a sensei when I was about 10, and I remember he said this to the class. He told us, if you're not making at least 25 mistakes a day, you're not trying hard enough. And I remember being 10 and kind of at the time thinking, oh, does that give us an excuse to screw up or do this or that? But it was really, as I got older, it really stuck out. The problem I think some people have, or I know I've been there, where we're so afraid of failing that we don't even try. So now, I mean, and as I get older, I've gone through cycles in my life where I feel like I've done something, or I could have given my all in, or I just didn't try something. So that quote has stuck out with me the older I get and just more experience. And it just says, no, you got to put yourself out there. You have to not fear failure and take whatever failures. And like you said, make it to perfection until you get it right.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's definitely a journey. And I think it's important not to put as much pressure on yourself, but just go and kind of jump off the cliff in a sense. Failure, I agree with you, is one of the biggest lessons. And, actually talking about that, I met my husband, and first thing we did, we were in Cannes Film Festival, and I said, well, if you really think you're in love with me, then just jump off that biggest cliff right there. It was a very silly thing to say, but he did it, and that's how I knew that it's going to work. I believe like you have to jump in the whole way and trust yourself without like overthinking, and then just acknowledge the messiness of life. And it's never going to be as you vision it anyway. Like it's maybe going to be better.
You're on the journey together, Eugenia. You keep creating, you keep pushing yourself, and look at you. You're on family vacation and you made time for me and to be on the show. I can't thank you enough. I will not keep you from your family any longer. Is there anything you want to throw out to everyone while you're on?
Important to connect. I feel like this last year was such a interesting trial year for everybody being isolated, but I think it's so important. And thank you for having me over, because we found all these new ways to connect through different devices. But I think it's important to check out with your friends and just kind of come back, because that's who we are as humans. And I'm really excited to come back together and connect through creativity and friendship. And I think it's going to be a fantastic year, 2021.
2021 is our year. Let's keep it going, Eugenia.
Yes. Thank you, Kash.
Thanks again, Eugenia, for joining us today. Be sure to follow Eugenia on Instagram, and literally anytime you turn on the TV, she is on. She's everywhere. She's every place all the time, and she does everything. Eugenia, thank you so much for making time for us today. I can't wait to see one of your shows in person, and I can't wait to see what movie you do next.
Thank you so much. And to add to that, I can't wait to share the stage and the green room and the excitement of, being live.
Definitely. Cheers. You and Jimmy are getting me up on that stage one of these days. We gotta, I had the easy way out. I did the Zoom thing, but you and Jimmy are getting me to go live very soon. That's a goal.
Very excited.
Thanks for hanging with me and Eugenia Kuzmina today. You are on air with Kash.